Hello, and welcome back to the Extra Point Podcast, podcast from Crosspoint Baptist Church. Today we have a special guest on the episode. It's our first guest that is not myself or Jim. And today we have none other than my wife, Jenna, who you probably know. Most importantly, Jenna helps with our youth and serves on Sunday morning with hospitality and snacks. Um, Jenna, introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Jenna, as I said, his wife. A little bit about me is I am currently finishing up my master's in clinical mental health counseling at Western Seminary. I am in internship right now at Lacamas Counseling in Camas, Washington. I also have a couple different jobs, one remotely working for a counselor as an office assistant, as well as I work at Seize the Bagel, two on the weekends. I'm trying to think. Let's see. I also, as I said, volunteer and have been in youth ministry for maybe 7 or 8 years now. Just working with youth, and then also helping out on Sunday mornings with coffee and everything like that.
Very nice. You have a good day. I've been talking to you all day, so we're in our living room.
Yeah,
Also,
pretty good. Just work,
yep.
schoolwork, celebrating Valentine's Day a day early because, yep,
We have youth group tomorrow.
youth group
Well,
tomorrow.
today, if you're listening to this, Wednesday, it's February 14th. Um, any hobbies you would like to share? Help people get to know you if they don't already.
Hobbies. I like doing like ceramics, so like not necessarily the full start to finish because I don't have like a kiln that
Because
I
it costs
use.
thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I used where I got me a pottery wheel a couple years ago now, and I haven't been using it as much as I'd like. So I actually whipped it out last week finally to kind of get those creative juices flowing again. So I enjoy pottery. I also enjoy doing photography on the side, kind of for fun. Um, Painting is also a hobby of mine, or reading. I also am a huge academic nerd, you could say. I really enjoy learning, taking in any and all information I can, usually through podcasts. That's like my go to. So,
Documentaries.
documentaries, love documentaries.
Don't forget about your reality TV.
Yeah, that too.
Well, thanks for joining. And you will be on in the future to talk about your area of expertise
Mm.
with mental health and counseling. But for today, you are joining for our first episode of our cultural update. Essentially, is anytime there's something big in the news, whether that's popular culture or news, that maybe um, there needs to be some sort of uh, perspective given or something like that. Um, with a Christian perspective, we'll talk about it. And there's been a lot that's happened this past week. The Super Bowl commercial that got some buzz. The Apple Vision Pros, which I'm now realizing I didn't put in our notes, Jenna. Sorry. Um, uh, Lent, Valentine's Day, a couple other things. So there's a lot going on. But first, we're going to start with our first 5 questions that are more fun and lighthearted. They can be serious, but um, we've got more lighthearted ones today. But make sure if you do have questions, we have a question box on Sundays at our little information table, or you can go to the website link in the description of this episode and fill out a online Google form. But without further ado, the first question is, what is your favorite bagel flavor at Seize the Bagel and favorite cream cheese? I
Mm.
have an answer, obviously.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My favorite bagel. So it is a wild cheddar, which is everything bagel and that has a slice of cheddar cheese melted on top. It's really good. I also really like the tomato herb cream cheese, which is like a tomato basil, um, mixed in with some other flavorings in there. And then also garlic chive is really good. So I'll go and get like a wild cheddar toasted with half tomato herb, half garlic chive. That's my
Mm.
go-to.
Yeah, that's not my go-to. Garlic chive is fine, but there's a better one, the housewives chives for cream cheese. But my go-to is, I mean, you know this, is jalapeno bagel with butter because it's delicious. Um, or a bacon cheddar chive,
Bacon chive cheddar.
bacon whatever,
Same diff.
with bacon chive cream cheese. Um, but then if I want to break the bank, any type of bagel with lox. I love
Mm,
lox.
lox. If you don't know, lox is a type of a salmon, and at C's we have a salmon bagel with veggies and capers and cream cheese and lox on it.
Yeah, well, I cheated on Seize the Bagel and had an everything bagel with lox on it from Gold Cup. So shout out Gold Cup. Um, so go visit Jenna on Fridays and Saturdays at Mill Plain. Seize the Bagel.
Indeed. I'll be there.
Yeah, I don't know
Maybe
if
I'll give you a discount.
maybe. What would be your 15 minutes of fame? If you do not know what 15 minutes of fame means, as apparently I had to explain to Jenna earlier tonight, it is when you get really famous for something that goes basically viral on the internet and you are famous for a very short amount of time and then everyone forgets that you exist.
Mm. I was thinking about this earlier, and for some of you, most of you actually probably don't know this about me, is back in the day, my high school days, I used to play basketball, and I think it would be pretty cool if there was like a play or something like that, like a game winning shot. I don't know, something crazy that would be fun to go viral. Because one, I love playing basketball, and yeah, it was a big part of who I was in that time. And so I think that would be really cool. Just 15 minutes of fame for that.
That would be fun. I would definitely, I don't know. It happens a lot, but something like hitting a half court shot or
Mm,
probably like a podcast clip if I said something real controversial that
mm,
I posted to the internet to see.
mm-hmm.
Who is your favorite fictional character? There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. I don't know. There's so many. I don't know why. I just keep thinking of the movie Up and Doug the dog. He's not my favorite. I would say fictional character because there's so many fictional characters.
Yeah, there's
Um,
a lot.
I guess I'm
A lot,
even
a lot.
thinking like, into the wizarding world of Harry Potter. That would be a good fictional character like Harry Potter or Hermione.
Hermione's definitely better than Harry Potter.
Yeah, so
But yeah, I mean, I love Rafiki from Lion King. I
Rafiki.
love Batman. He's fictional. I love Spider Man. Fictional, obviously. Um, I mean, basically just go to a list of my favorite movies and I can pick a character off of those. But I mean, I love Wolverine. I'm trying to think. What other characters I love? Love Donald Duck. I love Doc Hudson. Great. Yeah, so there's quite a few that I enjoy. Most animated things I enjoyed their characters, but
Hmm.
yeah. So the next question is, what do you think the best sporting event of the year typically is? And let's say this is a year that's like contains the Olympics or the World Cup or the Winter. Like, what's the
Hmm.
best sporting event? Not just the general, but like the biggest one of that particular sport.
Oh, that particular sport.
Like, what is the Super Bowl better than the World Cup? Is March Madness better than the NBA Finals and all of those? Is
Hmm.
the Olympics better than all of them?
I I really do enjoy the Summer Olympics when they do happen. But I also am a big fan of March Madness because I think it's just a really fun time watching all the different teams and making brackets and
Here comes Pogue.
hoping. um, hoping your team wins. I think March Madness is probably one of my favorites. Super Bowl is up there, probably top 3, but I'd say, yeah, March Madness, the Olympics if it's happening, and then the Super Bowl.
Do you know mine?
March Madness.
March Madness,
Yeah.
because it's the best.
Yeah.
One. What's your favorite Olympic event?
Olympic event.
I know mine. I don't know. I think it's for winter curling. It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best Olympic event there is. That's just so good.
I really like sand beach volleyball. Well, beach volleyball. Well, little side note, my like second or third cousin, she played volleyball at UW. She's like a Hall of Famer or whatever. Anyways, she played in the Olympics. Wow back.
Yeah.
She's pretty cool. But she's also really, really tall. If you know me, I'm pretty short. But she's like 6'3". So
Didn't get those genes apparently.
didn't get those genes.
The last question is, what would be the title of your memoir?
Ah, yes.
We've talked about this.
We have talked about this.
Do you remember? I remember yours.
I remember mine too.
What do you remember mine?
No.
If you listen to my Redeeming Reels podcast, you would know this because I say it at the end of every episode.
I don't remember. Oh yeah, mine is Dear Dyslexia. A little background about that. I have dyslexia, which is a learning disability, although probably something a lot of people don't know as well. Yeah, and I would say that would be my memoir because it does shape a lot of who I am. It doesn't define me, and I'm not limited, but I am shaped by it. And I think it molds who I am and who I've become in a very significant way, not only in the way I learn, but in the way that I take in the world around me, and just the beauty of things.
Brokenness.
Yeah, the beauty of
that could be a title.
Brokenness and the beauty of things that might seem like they're detrimental or hold you back can actually be used not only for God's glory, but ultimately for his plan in your life. So
definitely. Do you remember mine? I don't know. You don't? Mine would have to be, mine's based on movies, kind of. It's also based on my mom. So, after every single movie we go see as kids, and even into my adult years, if we went with my parents, or even if I would come back home from a movie, or sometimes when I'm on the phone with my mom after a movie, she'll ask me this question. She will ask me, "What was your favorite part?" And so the title would be, "What was your favorite part?"
Yeah.
And so, because reflecting on your life, what was your favorite part?
That's good.
If I ever wrote a book with Micah about like being a brother or something like that, it would definitely be called Life's Tough, Get a Helmet.
Yeah.
Because it's not trademarked, and we talk about it all the time. But those are our first 5 questions. Remember, if you do have questions, please ask them. We'll do our best to answer those. So, a lot of things happening in our culture. First off, the big game, the Super Bowl this past Sunday. What did you think of we do not need to harp on this much. But what did you think of the outcome? Obviously, I was sick and we just watched it, and also our cat is making a lot of noise in the background. If you can't hear it, then you're lucky.
Yeah. I don't know. I always kind of feel neutral after the Super Bowl because usually it's not a team that I'm necessarily rooting for. And so I'm just kind of like, oh, yay for the Chiefs, sad for the 49ers. I mean, it is what it is, and life keeps moving on. So that's kind of my take. Nothing major. It doesn't really impact me all too much besides a fun game to watch, which it was a fun game to watch because it went into overtime. So, yeah.
The second time ever. Yeah, it sucked. I don't like the Chiefs at all. So it's like, if it's my favorite team in the Super Bowl or my least favorite team in the Super Bowl, I'm going to care about the outcome. But other than that, I wouldn't have cared. So, but I like Brock Purdy and I wanted him to win, and it's a bummer he didn't. So, but one of the biggest aspects of the Super Bowl is the commercials. Did you have any favorites?
There's the iconic uh
Clydesdale with the
Clydesdale with the
puppy.
dog.
Yeah, dog.
Yeah,
Yeah,
love that.
that's great.
That's a really good one. Pulls at the heartstrings for sure because I'm a big animal lover.
Yeah.
Trying to think of any others. I mean, Usher kept popping up because they were talking about his entire show, but that's true.
I don't know about
It's
that.
stuck in my memory because he popped up like a million in one time. So
Yeah, that's true. The Paramount commercial was funny. The Dunkin' Donuts one with Tom Brady, Matt Damon, and Ben Affleck was hilarious.
oh yeah, that was good.
I was gonna look them up. There's some good ones, but um, there was one commercial that stood out. Maybe in a good way, maybe in a bad way. That's, I guess, up for us to discuss. But become a very widely controversial commercial in the church world, and probably amongst non-Christians too. But the He Gets Us commercial. So if you didn't watch the Super Bowl and you don't know what He Gets Us is, He Gets Us is a campaign that seeks to invite people to explore who Jesus is by showing what he did through commercials. They've made a few in the past couple years through big events. None has become as controversial as this one, especially within the Christian community. So if you didn't see it, essentially what this one was it showed slideshow images depicting two people who typically do not get along. One of them would be washing the feet of the other. Example being someone at an abortion clinic and her foot being washed by a protester, or someone a part of the LGBTQ community and a pastor slash priest washing their feet. So, um, obviously that's the context of what's going on, what the commercial is. Did you have any thoughts when you watched it? Have you heard about the controversy? As we know that you are just always online.
I haven't heard as much about the controversy. I could see how it sparks controversy within people of different beliefs or different ideologies, you could say.
Right.
But when I saw it, images of any kind are very powerful. And I think that being depicted on Super Bowl Sunday in front of
Yeah.
millions and millions of people, that kind of exponentially grows the power that comes with that because it reaches so many people in a unique way that we wouldn't normally be able to reach others. And so, despite the controversy, I believe that it has given a window, an opportunity for the belief of Christianity or the welcomingness of Christians to be illustrated on national television, because it displays the humility of Jesus, washing somebody's feet, of somebody he doesn't necessarily know, somebody who's culturally different than him, somebody that could spark some type of riot or whatever you would call it, within the community at large, but it represents what can bring us together and what we can hold on to, as Christians, and what we can work towards to ultimately bring glory to God.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's interesting that the controversy is not coming from non-Christians. It's coming from Christians um, that are upset about the commercial, because at the end of the commercial, it says, what is it? It says Jesus didn't preach hate; he washed feet. Right.
Yeah.
So the controversy being that the commercial does not show a full gospel picture, and stupid cat. He's on our cat's on top of the fridge, um, doing who knows what. But so it ends with the Jesus didn't preach hate, he washed feet, which people are taking as a progressive Christianity stance of if you hate said not hate, but hate equals non-affirmation. So if you do not affirm these people in the wrong, then you are therefore hating, and you can't love and all this stuff. So there's that aspect of it, while also people say that, they can't. Like Jesus didn't wash sinners' feet; he washed his disciples' feet, which is wrong. Um, and then that it doesn't preach a full gospel. And so, um, like I've talked to multiple people about this and looked up and watched videos on it and all this stuff, but um, it's silly for one because he washed Judas's feet, obviously,
Yeah.
who was an enemy of Jesus. He obviously washed his disciples' feet, who are also sinners.
Yeah.
But Jesus also never fully preached the gospel every time he spoke. He's preached aspects of it. He also revealed himself slowly. He didn't fully reveal himself right away. And so, like, I get the whole it's not the full gospel thing, or, it's. Um, there's more that could have been said and whatnot, but I don't think we should be up in arms. But
Yeah.
what do I know?
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring up that point because, as you said, I'm not on the medias to know the controversy that's going on with that. And that still kind of took place. And, everyone's going to have their own reactions, whether believer, not believer, various types of denominations, and what they think or don't think or whatever. And yet, like you said, even though it might not be a full gospel presentation, there are threads of the gospel. And I think that's
the point.
Because, I mean, as we know, usually the Super Bowl commercials are 30 seconds or less, sometimes longer. But
30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah, if you're able to depict a story, a visual, an illustration as they did to get a point across of the gospel in some way, that someone is going to receive it. I think that is ultimately what's important, even if it wasn't perfect, because any way that we try and depict it, it's not going to be perfect or pristine, but it is going. But the intent and the heart behind it, and obviously I don't know the intent of the people who produced it, but my hope is that we would be able to look at that in what it could be and not what it isn't.
Right. Yeah, it's clearly with the correct intention, and I do agree with people saying it's not a full repent and believe the gospel.
Right.
It's obviously an aspect, a conversation starter. Like there's one that someone made that I reposted. I don't know if you watched it.
No.
But basically, it's someone made a commercial for them, like what they wanted, basically, and it was a series of pictures of people, like former witch, Dawkins' former right hand man, a former KKK member, a former drug addict, a former gang leader, a former prostitute, a former abortionist, a former transgender, a former porn star, a former New Age guru, former lesbian activist. And then it says Jesus doesn't just get us; He saves us, cleanses us, transforms us, restores us, forgives us, heals us, delivers us, redeems us, loves us.
Yeah.
Such were some of you. Which is like, if you're trying to make a commercial that perfectly illustrates the gospel, like that, is pretty spot on. It's pretty dang good. But Paul says in Philippians 1, I think, I don't remember, one of the 4 books, he says, wherever the gospel is preached, rejoice. And so I think that we should be less up in arms. I think it's okay to critique it. And I also think that we can also be happy that someone's trying to do something about it,
And like you said, that can be the platform, that can be the conversation starter to a coworker, to a friend, to a neighbor, to the clerk who helps you at the grocery store, whatever, fill in the blank. That doesn't need to be the full gospel, as it's not, right? As we talked about. And it can be, okay, here is something I can use in discussion, in talking with somebody to maybe get further, to invite them to church, to invite them to do these things in order
Yeah.
to grow in relationship with them and present the gospel as you know, as the opportunity welcomes itself.
Hmm. Definitely. Switching gears from Super Bowl and commercials, tomorrow, or today, I guess, if you're listening to this, is Valentine's Day. Jenna, you're a fan. Why? And how could this potentially be a good day for marriages or couples, I guess?
Yeah. Um
Boo, Valentine's. Just kidding.
no, I think it's just it's a fun, you could say, I guess, holiday, because technically it's
It is a
a
holiday.
holiday.
It's not a federal holiday.
It's not a federal holiday, but
It's a holiday. Commercialized holiday?
yeah, a good time, I think, one, to celebrate your significant other in a way that might not be as routine. Um, you know, for all people who have been in a relationship longer than maybe even 6 months to a year, it's easy to get caught up in the mundane of life and to not, I think, celebrate or uplift one another. So I
Mm-hmm.
think Valentine's Day is uniquely geared towards, okay, this is the middle of the week. This is a time where maybe we
Mm-hmm.
can go out to dinner and just do something together, whatever that might look like. And it's not what the mundane is, and sometimes that's nice to have something a little bit special or different.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't need to be extravagant, but I think if it's intentional and it's um yeah,
Good
if
excuse to reset.
yeah, like a good excuse to reset.
Very nice. I don't have many thoughts, I'm not going to lie. I'm not an expert on marriage. You probably have more, expertise in your counseling field. But, um, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's just a way to get me to spend money. I think it's a ploy. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, you should probably get flowers or chocolate or whatever your spouse or significant
Mhm.
other likes. I recommend doing that. Um, Another one that is big, I think, is the Apple Vision Pro. So, if you do not know, the Apple Vision Pro is the brand new device from Apple.
Yeah.
Like the Apple.
Kind of like VR.
Yeah, it's augmented reality, but it's like partial. Yeah, because so basically, you could look it up. If you haven't seen it, go to Google, type in Apple Vision Pro. You'll see all the images. But basically, what it is, you put on these goggles. They're made specifically for your eyes. But basically, you look inside of it and you see a digital screen. Um, but you can also see around you, and you can place different screens somewhere. You can have your TV placed in your living room and a YouTube video for cooking in your kitchen and keep it there, and you can keep a timer there, and basically you live in this virtual world with virtual tools, but also you're living in real life, but you are wearing these goggles.
Hmm.
Um and yeah. Have you seen everything? Have you seen the videos? I mean, people walking around, people on the subway, people driving with, I mean, they're in the Tesla. Um,
I haven't seen people driving. I've seen people, like, what was
Excuse me.
it? Like laying down on a couch and they were like watching Tangled or some Disney movie. And instead of it being like the size of a TV screen, they were able to look up and it was like the entire ceiling. So
Yeah,
it's very like captivating and like immersive, essentially.
basically. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you control it with your eyes, and like
Yeah.
you like use your hands kind of too a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, we're in our living room right now. It'd basically be like I could cast a screen right here and leave a movie on, and then go walk in the kitchen, put a timer over the stove, put a Gordon Ramsay video on the side. I could open the fridge and put a video in the fridge. I could put a
That's
video in
wild.
I could put so wherever I walk into the room, it's there. Um,
Hmm.
And so, yeah, people say this is the future. Do you agree? Is this where we should go as a society? Is it biblical?
Is it biblical? I don't know. I think there is a tool that we can find in a lot of technologies, as we know,
Yeah.
computers, microphones, wireless, Bluetooth, all of the things.
Yeah.
And at the same time, when we go so far to implement putting distractions at every turn, I think that that can be or have the potential to be more detrimental than beneficial.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. There's a movie. I'm not necessarily recommending it. It's rated PG-13. I'm pretty sure. It's directed by Steven Spielberg. Jurassic Park. That was the E.T. But it's called Ready Player One, and I mean, it's the closest that we've been to that movie.
Mm,
Where there's like this digital world that you can live in, and like I mean, like live in. Um, but I mean, I'm not a fan in the sense that it's not cool. But like it's kind of ridiculous. It's a little weird still, which I mean, fair. Um, but like it's not something that I'm interested. I'd be interested in trying it, but
mm.
I'm not interested in owning one. One because it's $3,500. You could buy a beater car, like a nice car, with that. But um, I mean, yeah, it's. I'm not a fan of all the digital. We don't need more. We don't need to be more online. I'm a fan of the tools we have. I like streaming services. I like my computers. I like podcast equipment. I like my iPhone, but we do not need to be online more. And obviously, this will be, there will be churches that will be used just
Mm,
on that someday, and I don't think that that's like, there's, certain leaders in the Christian sphere that say the future of the church is online.
mm,
I don't agree. I think they're wrong. They're probably smarter than me, but I think they're very wrong because uh, you're not really, you're not, it's not the same connection. But
yeah. Well, I was gonna say too, that just reminds me of going back to the time in, the 2020 time era when we were all essentially kind of we had to all be on some type of video or social media to stay connected, which was an amazing technology that we were able to use to stay socially and emotionally and spiritually connected. And um, like we know, we're not necessarily in that time anymore. And so I don't know. I think being present and being with the people in front of us face to face is a huge gift, and that this could get in the way of that
yeah,
essentially.
yeah, I mean, definitely. There's a video I watched from my favorite YouTuber. He's a Christian, actually. His name's Ryan Trahan. He spent 50 hours wearing one
Oh my.
as a video. And the ending of it was very uh, um, surreal because he spent all this time in it and he like took it off and then it cut back to when he first put it on, like it was all a dream, is how he illustrated
Mm,
it, being like, this is not reality. Like, yeah, it's cool, yeah, it's like fun and goofy and whatnot, but it's not the same. Like, there's by the end of he's like, I couldn't wait to just look at a regular view
mm,
of something. His wife also made, because she makes YouTube videos about books, and so
mm.
she read for 24 hours, not
Wow.
straight, but she
Yeah.
read for 24 hours with those on, and she's like, there's nothing like a physical book.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, it's cool, I guess. I still think you're a little weird if you spend $3,500 on it just to, but if you do have one, I'll try it out, I guess. But so yeah, that's it. It is a little strange,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I think we have one more topic, um, which also starts tomorrow.
Mm.
Do you know what that topic is?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think we're talking about Lent.
Yes.
So what is Lent, and do you celebrate it? Can you? Should you? Tell me more.
Um, so Lent is a church practice from like the 400s, I think is when it started. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it. But basically, it's based off of Jesus's 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness of fasting. It's based on that. Um, so the practice of Lent is basically you give up something for those 40 days, not including the Sundays leading up to Easter. And so, um, excuse me, being sick's not fun. But uh, yeah, so you give something up in order to prepare yourself for Easter and prepare yourself for um, what that means and what the resurrection means, and basically surrendering yourself, denying yourself something in order to spend more time with Jesus, focus more on Jesus. Um, so I think that it's good in the sense that it's a helpful practice. I don't think you can find direct scriptural proof for it. Like I said, it's based on the temptation of Jesus, but he commands us to fast, but he doesn't command us to do Lent. Um, so it's not like you have to.
Mm,
I think you can. I think I'm going to be doing it this year with social media on my phone.
yeah.
But like, I know Pastor Jim's not doing it.
Yeah.
Um, and like, if you don't do it, you're not like, I see it as more of a tool to help you grow spiritually than a requirement and commandment from scripture, because it's not.
Yeah.
Um, it can be nice, it can be helpful and beneficial, um, or you could just be, you know, just not do it and just give up something in general. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that if you want to do it, like today's Ash Wednesday, that's about like focusing on your mortality and the fact that you're a broken sinner who needs Jesus, and
Mm,
that you're spiritually dead, all those things. So, if you want to um, do that, partake in it, great. Do so with a heart and mind that is taking whatever you're taking away, trying to give yourself that space and time to focus on and prepare yourself to celebrate Easter, basically.
yeah.
I'm not an expert. I've never really done it, except for when I was like in high school, and it's like I'm giving up Instagram, and then 3 days later, I download Instagram.
Mm.
So we'll see. But yeah, are you gonna do it?
Uh,
You said no earlier.
Probably not. I was gonna say. I mean, I've never really
Can we give up our cat for
grown
40
up
days?
doing Lent.
It
Maybe a
is.
couple
It is
times.
more typically a Catholic or like liturgical background
Yeah.
practice. Not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that's typically what it is.
Yeah. Ryan and I were kind of talking about this earlier a little bit, and I think Lent can be beneficial and has its purpose for sure, especially leading up to Easter and thinking about the resurrection and just the power that comes with that. Um, and part of me as well is like, okay, if we're trying or striving towards maybe trying like this new thing, right? Remember that's social media, getting rid of social media, maybe that's something else, whatever it is, fill in the blank, that we could be trying that beforehand. Kind of like New Year's resolutions, kind of. It's like, okay, is January 1st the best time to start? Maybe for some people, but also I think starting or trying to get into new habits, new routines, new goals for your life, or whatever that might look like, can start today as much as it can start whenever
Yeah.
that time
Right.
comes. And so, um, like I said, I think there is benefit to doing it for individuals who find that. And at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, why? Let's look at like why wouldn't we start this earlier? Why wouldn't this be a normal practice, or
Right.
something like that, instead of just setting aside that time during the
Mhm.
year for it to, like you said, when you were in 16, and then 3 days later you got it back. It's like, okay, well, that didn't really do anything. Kind of
For
trial
show.
and error. Yeah, it was just for show. It wasn't actually, okay, this is something the Lord is kind of guiding and leading and discerning for me to give up for whatever specific reason. And so
Right.
there are a lot of layers to that, but yeah, nothing right now that I am supposedly planning on giving up at this time.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I've said this before. Create a rule of life. If you don't know what it is, Google what's a rule of life or Google practicing the way .org, and you can go create one on there. Do that because that's a better tool for a discipleship pathway for yourself. But yeah, that about wraps up our episode. Um, so this week our episode was our cultural update, first one. I'm sure there'll be more. The Olympics. November. We all know what happens in November.
What happens in November?
The election.
Oh,
When everybody decides that they don't want to be friends anymore. Not us, though.
Not culturally relevant over here.
Yeah.
So if you aren't culturally relevant, come join the party.
If you're not a cat, Jenna doesn't think you're culturally relevant.
We can be friends.
But so thank you for listening. Not watching, considering we didn't actually film this one because we're sitting in our living room. And Jenna wants to wear her PJs.
PJs.
Just repeating what I'm saying. But if you do have questions, question box, Google form link. But I do end every episode with a recommendation of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I should have let you recommend a movie, but you'd recommend National Treasure.
National Treasure is the greatest movie of all time.
It's not true, but okay. But I recommend a movie that is suitable for you and your family that brims with biblical themes and uplifting messages. And today, I figured I'd do a little movie that's got a little love for Valentine's Day. Maybe you can teach your kids about love and that. But I would recommend Wall-E.
Wall-E.
Eve. It's fun. It's obviously most people have seen it. If you haven't, I definitely recommend it. It's worth the watch. Kind of, it's a lot about love, but it's also very much about where we can go as humanity.
That's good.
But the villain is a ripoff of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Who's the villain?
It's like HAL 9000, something like that. I don't know.
Is it like the system or something? I don't remember.
The system.
Oh,
but in the movie, what I think is probably the greatest movie ever, 2001, not my favorite, but that the villain is the same.
Yeah, you know what? Also, a theme I just thought of related to Wall-E.
No.
That could be potentially scripturally based. Is the
I'll be the judge of that.
The plant could be the symbol of hope.
It quite literally is the symbol of hope.
I just came up with that. I mean, I haven't.
The whole point of the plant is to show the captain so that there's hope on Earth.
I know. Well, I haven't seen the movie in quite a while.
We aren't going to be watching it tonight.
Yeah, I know.
We're going to be watching what?
National Treasure.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. So anyway, thank you for listening. I hope everybody has a fantastic day, fantastic week. Thanks, Jenna.
Peace.
Bye.